Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coachyourPO. All lowercase, all one word. That's bit.ly/coachyourPO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our TGIF, the Friday and Product Owner episode this week with Gonçalo Valverde. Hi, Gonçalo. Welcome back.
Hi again, Vasco. Thank you for having me back in this wonderful podcast.
Absolutely. So, the Product Owner episode, we'll talk about a great product owner later on as we go through this episode. But for starters, let's start with examples of anti-patterns. And I actually want to ask you, Gonçalo, what's potentially the worst anti-pattern you've seen in the product owner role?
Some of them are really bad. One of them is the product owner that is really a project manager, because he's focused not in really the product itself, but in doing the tasks, controlling what the team is doing reporting, asking people when they're going to deliver things and asking for status every day, for example, and even attending the daily and wanting status for that. And I would say that the most dangerous part there, well, apart from the micromanagement, other things, is that you have a product owner that really don't cares about the product. He really cares about delivering a project. And when you deliver a project, you're delivering something with a given scope, with a given time, with a specific budget, and you're not thinking really in a product-oriented sense. Apart from the other dangerous parts, and the part of this is hurtful to the team, which is already bad, it's also hurtful for the product. We have someone that should be caring about the product and is caring about the micromanagement of the team, which in the end, then you have a product that nobody really cares. That's one problem, one of the worst anti-patterns that I can think of. The other would be the analyst.
Like a business analyst, you mean?
Business analyst. I'm not saying bad about business analysts, okay? It's a question of, as a product owner, if you're doing a lot of details and going to the team with a very detailed user story, with even integration points and everything, here you go, the team will not think. You're presenting something that in Portuguese you say dar papinha. I don't know the word in English, but
it's chew the food for them.
Chew for them. Okay, thank you for that. And they look at that and they think, oh, this is already thought, so we're just going to implement things. And guess what? People are not going to raise the right questions, and they will start delivering things without even concerning if what they're doing makes sense to that product or even works really well. Another anti-pattern is the product owner don't has a vision long term. Okay, he only thinks each sprint. You don't build a road. I don't know what I would call them, but he just thinks every sprint, and probably is very influenced from management. So he's always doing like this, and you don't think about the product long run. Okay, you don't have a roadmap. You don't know techniques of user story mapping, etc. You're always thinking, every sprint we're going to do this.
And you made a gesture on video that I want to explain to our listeners who, of course, are not watching the video, which is you made the gesture of a snake, right? Like going left and right, zigzagging all over the place according to whatever is most important at that particular time. And I think that's a very good way to describe the consequence of not having a vision, right? Because if you don't have a long-term vision, the only thing you can do is react to the things that are happening that day.
Exactly. And I'll add on top of that, another anti-pattern is the product owner that thinks that in Agile there is no plans. And we just start doing things and they tell you what you need to do during the sprint. And usually I tend to say, well, I mix Portuguese and in English here because I think I like the sound, is that agile is not bandalheira.
Bandalheira would mean roughly chaos or lack of order or anarchy, perhaps.
I think it's even more stronger than
Yeah. I mean, for those that know Portuguese, bandalheira is definitely more than anarchy, but it's something around that spirit.
Yeah, something like that. And there are people that think, hey, this is agile, we just do things and yeah, okay, we go to the plan, but in the middle, no, this is agile, so you need to adapt, etc. Okay, yes, we adapt to a plan. And I agree that, of course, it's more important planning than following plans. Nevertheless, you need to plan.
It kind of reminds me of the discussion we had yesterday on the Thursday episode about having goals or not having goals, right? Because if you have a goal, you can adapt the plan. But if there's no goal, there's only the plan. There's no way to know whether the plan is right or wrong, right? So I think that's perhaps a counterintuitive consequence of not having a goal is that it's very easy to then just forget the plan because, we're agile, as it were, and therefore lose everything, right? And have no direction. On the other hand, if we have a goal, even if we lose the plan, even if the plan is wrong, you can still adapt because the goal is telling you where to go.
And the lesson pattern that I can think of for now, it's the output-driven product owner. We deliver things, we deliver stuff. It's not focusing the outcomes, and even worse, okay, we believe that even you can add business value and you say, oh, we deliver X business value, and you don't even have the concept of realized business value. So you're fooling yourself thinking that you're delivering business value and you don't even concerned about measuring downstream with what you're doing. It's important that it's delivering value for the client or for the organization. Mind you, I do believe it's important to have a business value idea because this is what tells you, okay, should we do this? Because we think look at the organization. Okay, this is what we believe it will going to give us more business value. So I think that the estimated business value is essential for one to think, okay, should we do this? Then again, the realized business value is what tell us, should we continue doing this? Should we even having this? Because another problem that we have is we create a lot of features that nobody uses. So it's irrelevant. So the output-driven product owner, it's also a big hindrance. I'm not sure if it's not even as worse as the project manager because it's only focusing output, and you're not thinking about the product itself. You're just doing stuff.
Yeah, especially if not reflecting on the impact of that,
exactly.
Those features that are delivered.
It creates a false sensation of success. Oh, we're delivering a lot of value. No, we're delivering things that we believe it has value, and let's measure it first.
Absolutely. Believe it, but measure it. All right. So now we turn our attention to the opposite, Gonçalo, the mirror image of what we just described. And describe for us who was or how did they behave when they were the best product owner you've ever seen in your career?
Some of them, what they focus is, like I said, outcomes. Okay, this is what we want to achieve. And in Portuguese, we have this challenge that there is not really a word that translates directly from outcomes. At least I never thought it. And I got a really wonderful explanation. Outcomes is the things that happen when we realize and use our outputs. So I tend to explain also this because outcomes seems sometimes a very tough concept, and that we measure that. Okay, so that is essential, that we deliver things because we believe that we're going to have this from the client, this kind of value that we're going to deliver, and it actually that we measure it. Because if you don't measure it, then we're totally lost if what you're delivering makes sense or not for the client. And then we could be creating a big problem for the team because they thought that they're having success and in the end not, and also for the organization. This is one of the patterns.
One question that I wanted to ask related to this is, how do you see these product owners bringing that mindset and that thought process into the teams of focusing on outcomes, and wanting to measure them? Like, how do you see the great product owners in your career bringing that mindset to the team?
One of them is not bringing detailed user stories, not having everything explained there, bringing what I want to achieve, what is the customer problem that I want to solve, and having this as a conversation engagement with the team. And because trust the team and that they think that the team can even bring us more insights. And also product owners that actually bring the team to engage with customers, with clients. That's even better. Okay, I explain the problem, but I bring them and they understand the problem with the customer. It's not just me. I'm going to see the client or the customer. The team goes with me and they also see. So this creates the mindset of, because one of the challenges that we have sometimes with teams is that sometimes they don't really want to think about product, etc. So it's important that you bring them in this journey to understand that it's important that you understand what is a product. That's important that you give insights. And this kind of product owner is treating people like adults. And that's what I've seen until now. It's when you treat people as adults, they will behave as adults and they will have more interest in the product, they will commit more. So it's important as part of the product owner.
So let's translate this for our Scrum Master friends out there. What does it mean to treat team members like adults? Give me a few examples.
Well, first of all, trusting them and actually engaging them in these conversations. Okay. And like I said, not bringing all the solution and discuss this with them, even asking them to throw you back, how are you going to measure this? Because this is also important. It's not only a question of treating people as adults, it's also a question to see if they understand what is the problem. Because one thing that I try to influence is product owners not to write all the acceptance criteria, but asking the team, okay, how are you going to measure this? So that is important. And also to bring the team outside of their comfort zone. And like I said, for example, engaging with the client, because sometimes we don't even want them to engage with the client because we have this idea that, okay, they're developers and they are in their little barn and we throw pieces at them and they develop.
Yeah, hide them from the customer, right?
Exactly. So bring them into that. And that is also important. And also to co-create the goal with the team.
That kind of pushes all of the others, right? Like when you create the goal with the team, then you're allowing the team the time and of course giving them the information they need to understand something. And then you're also getting immediate feedback because the team is able to bring product or technical innovation into the conversation if they are given the opportunity. It's not only the product owner that does that.
Yes. The challenge that, for example, we're still talking about treating people like adults, the challenge that sometimes you have other things outside the team that it's challenging. Like the organization, for example, wants to put a lot of rules for doing a lot of things. They're treating them a bit like kids. So it's important rules, but when you have a lot of rules, then this is outside of the scope of the product owner, nevertheless, but the part of the organization also influence. You can have a really great product owner, you can have a really great team, but if the organization side is not treating people like adults, not involving any decisions, like for example now, what is going to happen? Are we going to be fully remote? Are we going to be hybrid? So if you don't bring them into this conversation and decide by them because you don't trust people, then you're going to have problems. So no matter if you have a great product owner, a great team, if the organization is not really there to treat people like adults, then you're going to have also big problems there.
Absolutely. Gonçalo, it's been a pleasure to have you here this week. Unfortunately, we are getting close to the end. So before we go, do share with us, where can we find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Right now, LinkedIn. I'm thinking on starting a blog, but until now, nothing. So LinkedIn will be a great source of there, and I'll share whatever endeavors we're going to do. And next year, if you want to join us also in the Agile Coach Camp here in Portugal, it will be a pleasure to join everyone.
And by the way, those of you listening in 2025 or later, next year is 2022.
Okay, thank you.
On the other hand, I'm sure that by 2025, there will still be an Agile Coach Camp in Portugal. So do get in touch with Gonçalo. Gonçalo, it's been a pleasure. So thank you very much for being with us and for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure, Vasco. Always a pleasure also to listen to your podcast.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over. But there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.